But my brother, Geoffrey, who is older than me, only ever wanted to be an actor. And he went to the Central School, and he came back, and I kind of caught it from him. And I thought, I'd like to go at that. And I did, and I've never regretted it, and I've been incredibly lucky.
At 90 years old, Dame Judi Dench, an actress whose name instantly brings to mind elegance, strength, and unforgettable performances, now finds herself facing one of the hardest moments of her life. For decades, she ruled both stage and screen, from her powerful Shakespearean roles to her iconic presence as M in the James Bond films. But today, something far more personal is unfolding behind the scenes. After years of quietly struggling with a condition that has slowly changed her life, Judi has hinted that she may finally be preparing to step away from acting. And for millions of fans, this unexpected revelation feels like the end of an era, one we hoped would never arrive. Judi Dench's story begins in the quiet Heworth district of York, where she was born on the 9th of December, 1934. Her childhood was shaped by two cultures: an English father, Reginald, a wartime doctor who had grown up in Dublin, and an Irish mother, Olave, who had also studied in the same city. Their lives had intertwined at Trinity College long before Judi was born, giving her a family history rooted in both scholarship and resilience. Decades later, in a 2021 episode of Who Do You Think You Are?, she discovered her ancestry carried unexpected echoes of European nobility, tracing back to the Danish Bill and Brahe families. This lineage linked her distantly to famed astronomer Tycho Brahe. Her extended family tree also includes working actors, historians, and storytellers, suggesting that performance and inquiry were woven into her blood. Raised alongside her older brothers, Peter and Geoffrey, Judi attended the Mount School, a Quaker institution where she embraced the values of simplicity and compassion. Yet the theater was already calling. Her father tended to the local theater's actors. Her mother dressed them for the stage, and their home often felt like an unofficial green room. Judi's early steps into performance began here, appearing in the York mystery plays throughout the 1950s, even portraying the Virgin Mary before she was out of her teens. Though she once imagined a future as a set designer, everything changed when she watched Peggy Ashcroft command the stage as Cleopatra. That performance ignited something profound. Encouraged further by her brother Jeff's path, she auditioned for the Central School of Speech and Drama and was accepted, joining the ranks of future greats like Vanessa Redgrave. By the time she graduated, decorated with multiple awards, her destiny had quietly settled into place. She was meant for the stage. Judi Dench's professional journey began in 1957 when she stepped onto the stage as Ophelia with the Old Vic Company, a young actress still finding her voice. Critics saw raw promise in her performance, hinting that her true brilliance would emerge with time. Soon she made her London debut with the same production and spent the next 4 seasons immersed in Shakespearean worlds, playing roles such as Catherine in Henry V and Juliet in Romeo and Juliet, even touring North America and Europe as her reputation quietly grew. By the early 1960s, she had joined the Royal Shakespeare Company, appearing in The Cherry Orchard and later at Stratford-upon-Avon as Isabella in Measure for Measure. These years were filled with constant movement, repertory seasons in Nottingham and Oxford, tours abroad, and a growing list of roles that tested her depth and resilience. Television soon followed. Throughout the 1960s, she appeared in dramas such as The Four Just Men, Parade's End, and Z-Cars. Her film debut came in The Third Secret in 1964, followed by a small part in A Study in Terror. But it was the BBC's Talking to a Stranger in 1966 that marked her first breakthrough, earning her a BAFTA and announcing her arrival as one of Britain's most gifted young actresses. Perhaps one of the most surprising chapters came in 1968 when she was offered the lead in the musical Cabaret. Terrified of singing in public, she auditioned from the wings. Yet once the curtain rose, she delivered a performance full of raw feeling, winning over critics. The 1970s and 80s brought a new kind of prominence. Returning to the RSC, she played everything from the tragic Duchess of Malfi to the fiery Adriana in The Comedy of Errors, showing a range that stunned audiences. Her Lady Macbeth in 1976 became a defining moment, a performance so intense and haunting that critics called it one of the greatest of her generation. As the years passed, she ventured into television, film, and even directing, shaping productions with the same boldness she brought to acting. Though setbacks came, including an injury that kept her from originating the role of Grisabella in Cats, she continued to reinvent herself. She starred in the tender series A Fine Romance with her husband, appeared in films like 84 Charing Cross Road, and returned to the National Theatre for unforgettable performances such as Cleopatra. By 1989, she had become a fixture of British culture, a presence both mighty and deeply human, her career already rich with moments that would echo long into the future. After a long silence in the Bond franchise, Judi Dench stepped into the spotlight in 1995's GoldenEye, becoming the first woman to play M, a sharp, unflinching authority figure rumored to be inspired by MI5 Chief Stella Remington. It was a bold shift for the series, and audiences embraced her steely presence. While she was reshaping the image of Bond's world, she was also warming hearts in the gentle BBC comedy As Time Goes By, and returning triumphantly to the stage with A Little Night Music, earning yet another Olivier Award. Her career took a profound turn in 1997 with Mrs. Brown, where she portrayed a widowed Queen Victoria aching for connection. The film, expected to be modest, unexpectedly captured critics, audiences, and fans alike. It became the performance that opened Hollywood's doors to her, a success she would later joke about with cheeky warmth. From there, Dench seemed unstoppable. She balanced Bond adventures like Tomorrow Never Dies with prestige projects, reuniting with director John Madden for Shakespearean Love. Her fierce, commanding Queen Elizabeth I appeared on screen for only a few minutes. Yet it was enough to win her both BAFTA and Oscar Gold. Stage work followed, including a Tony-winning turn in Amy's View, and film after film cemented her as a performer who could fill any role with depth. But tragedy struck in 2001 when her husband, Michael Williams, died from cancer. Grief could have stopped her. Yet she channeled the pain into her craft, filming Iris, the story of Iris Murdoch's decline, and later the shipping news. These roles, tinged with sorrow and resilience, earned her more awards and admiration. Through the early 2000s, Dench moved effortlessly between genres, from Wilde's sharp satire in The Importance of Being Earnest to the icy authority of M&D Another Day. She lent her voice to children's stories, stepped unexpectedly into sci-fi with The Chronicles of Riddick, and charmed audiences in Ladies in Lavender. Then came new peaks. Her icy Lady Catherine in Pride and Prejudice, her continued reinvention of M alongside Daniel Craig in Casino Royale and Quantum of Solace, and her chilling, unforgettable turn in Notes on a Scandal. Critics called her partnership with Cate Blanchett one of the finest acting duos of the decade. Even as the years moved on, Dench kept returning to the stage, experimenting with unusual projects and surprising audiences with a fearlessness that made her career feel constantly reborn. Through triumphs, heartbreak, and reinvention, she continued building a legacy defined by courage and a quiet, enduring brilliance. There comes a moment in some lives when strength and spirit collide with a reality too heavy to ignore. For Judi Dench, that moment began quietly back in 2012, when she first revealed she had age-related macular degeneration. At the time, she spoke about it with almost stubborn optimism. She insisted it was manageable, that countless others lived with the same burden, and that she simply had to get on with things. But the years had their own plans. What began as a challenge, she believed she could outpace, slowly shaped itself into something far more unforgiving. Little by little, her world dimmed. In a soft, painful confession on a podcast, she said the words no actor ever wants to speak. I can't see. She admitted she could no longer read scripts, couldn't drive, and couldn't even step outside without someone guiding her. I'll walk straight into something, she added, a heartbreaking truth from a woman who once commanded stages and sets with absolute certainty. Even earlier, in 2022, she had hinted at the growing struggle. In a conversation, she spoke openly about how acting, something that had always been instinctual, joyful, and electric for her, had become an uphill climb. She could no longer read her lines or scan her cues. Friends now sat with her for hours, speaking her dialogue aloud until she could store it in that famously sharp memory of hers. Tell me a line and I can keep it, she said. And yet even that gift could not fully shield her from the truth she later repeated with raw honesty. No, I can't even see. When journalists asked about future roles, she never pretended. There was anger sometimes, but more often a quiet frustration. the helpless kind. She admitted that walking onto a set had become frightening, that she could no longer move across a stage with the ease she once took for granted. "I can't see on a film set anymore. I can't see to read," she told a newspaper. These were not dramatic statements. They were the stripped-down confessions of a performer watching the foundation of her craft slip away. And yet, even with all of this weighing on her, Judi Dench refused to surrender her spirit. There was still fire in her, a spark that would not dim. She often reminded people, and perhaps herself, that age should never be an excuse to stop living. "We've got to keep going," she told a magazine, refusing to let the world picture her sitting quietly on the sidelines. Still, behind that resilience sits a truth too heavy to ignore. Her fading vision has quietly signaled what she herself never wanted to admit, that a career defined by brilliance, bravery, and unmatched presence is approaching its final chapter. The industry may not be ready to imagine a future without Judi Dench, and perhaps she isn't ready either. But life has already begun writing that reality. A legend's greatest battle is sometimes not on stage, but in the dark that slowly rises around them. And Judi Dench, with all her grace and grit, is facing that darkness one day at a time. A quiet shift has taken place in Judi Dench's life. Not an ending, but a gentler chapter, one shaped by acceptance rather than applause. While her acting career has slowed to a near standstill, she has not faded from the world that loves her. Instead, she has simply stepped into a different kind of spotlight, one that welcomes her at her own pace. Her creative spirit never dimmed, even as her eyesight did. In recent years, she has poured her heart into championing her 2023 book, Shakespeare, The Man Who Pays the Rent, a project that reconnects her to the art that first shaped her. At book festivals and literary gatherings, she speaks with warmth about the bard, drawing on a lifetime of performing his words. These appearances are not just promotional stops. They are reminders of her deep roots in classical theater and the joy it still brings her. With traditional roles now beyond reach, Dench has found comfort in settings that allow her to simply be herself. Conversation-based events have become a natural fit. They demand no scripts, no precise marks to hit, only her voice, her memory, and her remarkable ability to hold an audience with honesty and humor. In these more intimate spaces, she seems freer, as though sharing her life has become the performance. Yet some of her most profound moments happen far from the cameras. Her devotion to nature, especially her cherished forest of memorial trees, remains a cornerstone of her days. Each tree represents someone she loved, a living tribute that grows even as memories soften. She has often said that planting a tree for someone keeps their presence alive. The memory becomes even more beautiful, and that place continues to be her sanctuary, a quiet refuge where grief and gratitude live side by side. Despite everything, Judi Dench remains an enduring presence in British culture. She still turns up at beloved traditions like the Chelsea Flower Show, still shares her opinions on theater, art, or society with the same clear conviction. Even as her world narrows, her influence does not. This chapter may be slower, quieter, and touched with sadness, but it is also rich with meaning, reflection, and the unmistakable grace that has always defined her. There is a quiet kind of courage that rarely makes headlines, the courage of learning to live again when life suddenly changes its rules. For Judi Dench, who spent a lifetime mastering control on stage and screen, the loss of her vision has forced her into unfamiliar territory. The independence she once carried so naturally has been replaced with moments of vulnerability she never expected to face so openly. In her conversation on a podcast, she spoke with her familiar wit. Yet the truth beneath her words was impossible to ignore. She admitted she now needs someone by her side simply to move through the world safely. "Otherwise, I'll walk straight into something," she joked. But even in laughter, there was a shadow of the struggle she now lives with every day. What makes Dench's journey so striking is her refusal to hide behind silence or embarrassment. Instead, she has chosen to speak plainly about macular degeneration, reminding the public that it affects hundreds of thousands in the UK alone. By sharing her story without hesitation, she has become an unexpected voice for those navigating disability, especially older women in an industry that too often sidelines them long before they are ready to step away. Her stance on aging has long been fearless. The mere suggestion of retirement frustrates her. Age is just a number, she has said again and again, pushing back against the stereotype that creativity fades with time. Even as her eyesight dimmed, her resolve seemed only to sharpen. In her final on-screen years, she remained defiantly herself, unafraid to take on quirky, mischievous roles or to challenge historical portrayals she believed were misguided. She used her voice with the same fire she had as a young actress, proving that conviction does not weaken with age. There is tragedy in what she has lost, yes, but also a deep and moving resilience in the way she continues forward, honest, unfiltered, and unshakably true to who she has always been. As Judi Dench steps gently into what many see as the dusk of her extraordinary career, her impact remains as bright as ever. Her work, stretching across decades, styles, and eras, has carved itself into the hearts of audiences worldwide. From commanding queens to sharp-witted spy masters to haunted heroines, her characters carried both power and vulnerability, reshaping how viewers understood strength, sorrow, and humor in women on screen. In the tapestry of British culture, Dench stands not only as a monumental actor, but as a cherished presence, someone whose honesty and warmth made her feel both iconic and familiar. Though her time in the spotlight may be slowing, the imprint she leaves behind is untouchable, a legacy built on truth, courage, and a lifelong devotion to her craft.